All right, that's right. We are live. We are live. Welcome back to another episode of Comic X.
X Weeb.
That's right. I'm your co-host James, aka Comics for Cheap, aka sneaking in through the back door, and I got my co-host with me.
It's your boy Chris, aka Black Santa, aka Your Soul Is Mine,
Ooh.
aka Super Cold Water. And man, y'all better be thankful I didn't have to get up there last week. You know, I let Hoodie Santa take care of that. But you know, Super Cold Water was so close to getting up in there, and it would have been the greatest thing ever, and it would have been the most disrespectful thing ever at the same time too. So don't worry, it's coming though, because remember, the album is coming out 2039. So be ready. We getting there, bro. We are getting there. It's close as hell. I gotta go call up Jonah Mucus anyway. Right. Make sure I talk to Jonah and everything. So it's coming. It's coming.
That's right. Well, today we have our special video game episode. But before we jump into the video game aspect that we're going to be talking about, I know Chris wanted to bring up real quick, just a quick in memoriam for DMX, who passed away recently in the last week or so, which was kind of crazy. So, I mean,
yeah,
you were saying, man.
It came out of it. It wasn't shocking. It was shocking, but not shocking at the same time. Like, it was like, damn, we lost another legend, another icon of the game. But unfortunately, because of, you know, some of his inner demons, it was also one of those things where it was like, yeah, okay. It basically was like, it was only a matter of time that this was going to end up happening the way it happened, which is terrible, is terrible, because if you take away his demons, that dude had some sick bars. Like, DMX was a legit lyricist and a really good rapper, a great rapper. He was focused and
he was a really good songwriter too. Like, a lot of rappers can't really put a song together. They can't put like a hook together, the melody, you know, whatever like that, and make it catchy, make a hit. They can some of them can like rap their ass off. Like, I'll say, like, right now in the game, DaBaby can rap his ass off, right? He just puts out song after song after song. But how many of them like actually stick in your head because it's like, oh man, that's a real like that's a hit. Like, that's a song with a complete chorus, verses, everything like that. So it's
another example. Tech-Non's a really sick rapper, but how many like hooks do you remember from him?
Exactly. So for DMX to be able to have it all and be able to put it all together the way that he did made him really special and made him stand out, for sure. And it is unfortunate that he battled with addiction like he did, and unfortunately it took him over the edge in the end. But yeah, he was definitely had some killer songs, man. Still to this day we listen to.
Yeah, for real. And the dude had the skill to also be, I think he would have been a really good actor too. Again, if he would have been able to focus, I think he could have been a rap version of Jamie Foxx. I really think he could have been a guy who can do pretty good music and also do pretty good films. Like, he can play some good roles, but unfortunately, he never was able to realize his potential in that aspect. And that just kind of sucks.
Yeah, but a little bit. Yeah,
is amazing, and R.I.P. man, definitely would be missed. And I know definitely I'm going to songs going. I mean, I always play your songs anyway, so you'll definitely know I'll be bumping that stuff. Man, it was amazing, man.
That's right. All right. So before we go any further, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We put out content every Monday. We're on this podcast, and every Saturday I'm on with Justin. So. Definitely hang out with us for the live shows. And so today we're going to be talking about video games and how video games have affected us throughout our entire life. But what leads us into that is the Mortal Kombat movie that just came out on Friday. So you got your wish, because they definitely played the theme music throughout. Like, you could hear it. I mean, it wasn't like exact, but it was definitely prevalent throughout the movie. You could definitely like hear aspects of it that was like dun, 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 dun.
At first they teased it, and I was like, is it gonna happen? It didn't happen. I was like,
they just kept kind of but they also like didn't really have a tournament either, so it was like kind of both sides.
So it was basically setting up for the tournament. So the next movie is going to be the tournament.
Right.
This was basically the recruitment for that.
Right.
Which I gotta say, I do have some issues with some of the decisions they made.
Okay.
But before I get to that, I want to know, what did you think of the movie as a casual fan?
Overall, as just a casual fan who hasn't grown up with the lore, I never really got into the Mortal Kombat games, as hardcore or anything like that. I've played them before, but nothing crazy. As a casual fan, like I knew the stories, kind of like I got the general aspect. I enjoyed it, man. It was a fun movie. I was going into it. I didn't think it was going to be some like super artistic, like trying to have a second deeper meaning movie. I was going into it to see a motherfucker get his head ripped off, and I was not disappointed. So going into the movie, like I just, I wanted it to be fun. I wanted, a good fight movie, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Did the story kind of waver a little bit here and there? Sure, it did a little bit, but were there some really badass fight scenes? Yeah, there were some really badass fight scenes. So for that reason, I'd give it like a 6.5, 6.5 out of 10 because I enjoyed it.
Okay, that's fair. I enjoyed it too, but I don't know if I enjoyed it more than the original Mortal Kombat movie.
Okay.
I'm not fully for sure. It was definitely in terms of how the fights was. Obviously, it was much better compared to the original ones. And Liu Kang was actually able to do Liu Kang things where he really couldn't in the original movies. But because of limitations, obviously, when that movie came out in the 90s to now coming out in 2021, it's gonna be a little different. But I gotta say, some of the biggest downer for me, was freaking Cole. Cole Young was the biggest downer to me.
Why was that?
Like he's there, and they go with, and of course they had to use the flagship of the franchise, Scorpion, and they're like, oh, he's an ascendant of Hanzo Ashashi. He's an ascendant of Scorpion, so he's part of that lineage. He's a member of the family, and it's like, oh boy, I see where we're going here, and they continue to be like one of my biggest gripes. We're going into huge spoilers here, so that was part of a spoiler too. So this is going to be spoilers. Just so anybody knows, it's going to be spoilers for sure. So you have him. One of the biggest things was him beating Goro. I had a huge problem with that.
I was very surprised that Goro went after him like the way in that. Like going to the house to go after him there. I was just like, that doesn't really make as much sense. But yeah, go ahead. That he beat Goro.
It doesn't make sense at all because Goro is one of the big parts of the tournament.
Right.
The original first tournament that Liu Kang wins.
Yes.
He has to beat Goro. Goro is the reason why they're on the big winning streak. And then you have Goro die before the freaking tournament.
Yeah, so that was
young.
Yeah, so Goro, I remember him being like the champion for the other realm, right? I don't remember what the other realm's called right now, but thank you.
Realms.
Right. So definitely like to have the big bad champion be sent to Earth pre-tournament to fight I guess what they call the prophecy kid, and then lose there rather easily, by the way. That was, I don't know, to have him find like his power at the same time. I was just like, okay, I mean, like it served its purpose, but at the same time, like I don't know, because Goro is monstrous. Like they made him look really cool. I will say that he looked
much better than the original.
Badass, man. But I expected him to be fighting Jax and rip Jax's arms off. Like that's what I thought was going to happen because that's what we usually see. For it to come from Sub-Zero, for him to freeze his arms and then just chop them off, I thought that was kind of weak.
You did.
I thought that was I was expecting something a little more gruesome, I think, for Jax to lose his arms, because I even turned, Alexis and I watched it together against her will. but I
Mr.
made
Will.
I made her watch it. I warned her. I was like, "Oh, there's Jax." I was like, "Just be warned, he's gonna lose his arms. It's probably gonna be disgusting." She was like, "Oh, great, okay." But yeah, then when he lost his arms, I was like, "Oh, that was like okay, whatever." But yeah, so I that was probably my biggest problem. Like you said, like Goro being revealed so early and then and losing, and then Jax, the way that Jax lost his arms.
And then the thing is, because Mortal Kombat 9, just going off of like the current timeline,
Okay.
Jax loses his arms to Ermac when Ermac, again, spoilers, I guess, for a 2011 game. Ermac pulls him in the air with his psychic powers and rips his arms off psychically, and it sounds like that was pain, but you should look how it looks vicious. You see his arms completely get crushed. All the blood goes all over the place. Sonya has to like use her technology on her arms to like shoot some things to basically cover up the holes that he has. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're gonna get through this, Jax. You're gonna get through this." Sub-Zero shows up and fights Ermac. So that was really cool. I'm definitely gonna get to Mr. Cool, but
yeah.
That was definitely so I will say that it would have been interesting if they would have went through that, but obviously Ermac wasn't in the movie, so it was like, I don't think you can really do that. But that would have been cool. Matt, let's just go to Sub-Zero real fast. So
Sub-Zero, baby.
Scaling of Sub-Zero, Jesus Christ. I ain't never seen my man this powerful. Here's a quick Easter egg too. That scene when he was basically walking through and pretty much freezing the city. That's it. Yeah. That's a throwback to the comics where he walked through a city and was freezing that. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, that's
sick.
Cool
that's awesome.
But he was overpowered as hell in this movie.
Dude, he was something else.
Don't get me wrong, Sub-Zero's a savage. He's a monster. But I was a little confused. Maybe I missed something because I was trying to watch the movie and I was taking care of something else at the same time. Did they bring Sub-Zero back to life, or will my man just live that long?
No, he just lived. He's like God level. So he was. I think they were trying to put him on Raiden's level of like he was almost like demigod, and so he was like living in the other realm for 400, 500 years or whatever, and that was just that way that he is. That he's just almost like a god.
Because I know in the Sub-Zero standalone game that many people hate, including myself, because of just how unbelievably unbalanced that game is. If you want to pull your hair out, oh my God, get a copy of that. Try to get the PlayStation 1 copy, because I'm pretty sure that's the one that had the freaking amazing cutscenes. That is the most laughable thing you ever seen in your life, but it's amazing. That Sub-Zero is the ultimate meme. That's just so funny. But anyway, because Raiden berates him for giving the stuff to Quan Chi. And then, like, you see Sub-Zero put his head down, and he's all sad. It's hilarious. Anyway, so I know in that he has some crazy feats where he kills, he beats Fujin, who is a god, who is literally Raiden's brother. So that was kind of like, okay, but in the games, Bihan ain't never been that strong. I mean, nowhere close to that kind of power. Because that's not even the Sub-Zero that most people know of, because Bihan is the one who becomes Noob Saibot. So I'm pretty sure in the second movie, he's going to come back and be Noob Saibot from his death. But he's kind of a jobber. Like, as much as people love Noob Saibot, he's cool, and he was my favorite character in the original trilogy when they finally released him. He was so fun and cool. He was just some super black ninja who just could shoot you and all. It was cool. He's been a jobber in the series. Like, he gets his ass whooped all the time. Like, he just gets jobbed out. He shows up looking cool, might look at the coolest in the whole room, then he gets beat up. He's like Kano. But
Kano.
It was just weird how strong he really was.
Dude, and Kano was like
Cole had to be in that. Didn't Cole have to help Sub-Zero fucking fight him at the end? Come on now.
Yeah, well, that was kind of cool just to see like Scorpion and his descendant or whatever.
Scorpion being back was cool. Having him fight with Cole as a diehard Mortal Kombat fan, I was not happy with that at all. I was like,
you didn't like that?
Kills this dude by himself He doesn't
Yeah.
have help. He kills him. He's the reason why this dude becomes noob. He doesn't need somebody freaking like helping him and this ultimate strategist all of a sudden. Like, stop. I did not like the Cole character at all.
Gotcha. I liked Scorpion. I thought he was gonna make an appearance sooner than he did.
He basically shows up at the end.
Yeah, just kind of. I was like, well, at first I thought they were just gonna make Cole Scorpion, and I was like, damn, that would be kind of weird if they did that. And I was like, because like he was going on. They weren't even mentioning Scorpion at all. You know, we were almost at the end of the movie. He picked up like the spear blade or whatever. And I was like, wait, are they just going to make him Scorpion? Because that's going to piss a lot of people off.
I would have stopped.
But then,
I don't care what happened.
But then when he came back from hell, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that sounds more like what I remember from Mortal Kombat. He was pretty badass, but I don't think they gave him enough time on the screen, honestly, to show like just how badass he is and can be.
He's the face of the franchise. Scorpion is literally the NetherRealm logo. He's literally Ed Boon's freaking logo on Twitter. Like, Scorpion is the face of the entire franchise. So Scorpion probably should have been shown more, but I guess they were trying to make it come across like he's such a big deal. We're saving him for the end.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
And I'm sure he'll be in the next movie because I know they're planning.
Sure. Like, thank you.
They're planning on doing more and more. I think this one was relatively successful for streaming and the times that we're in right now. I saw a lot of people talking about it on social media and stuff. So I think a number 2 can pretty much be guaranteed. I don't know about a number 3, but we'll see how we go forward. Yeah,
I know they planned on it's supposed to be like at least a couple of movies, but I can definitely see the second one at least happening. Now here's one of the issues I kind of had too when it came to the characters that they used. And the elephant was obviously Johnny Cage not being mentioned at all, basically to the end when they was like, "Oh, Cole basically was like, I'm going to go get Johnny."
Out of Hollywood, yeah, that was kind of cool. So, as much as I wanted to see Johnny right away, I like where they just kind of throw him into a tournament with him not knowing what the fuck's going on, and
because that's what always happens.
Yeah, I know, because that's just fucking hilarious to me. So, like, I appreciate that that it looks like they're trying to do something like that for the movie.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. And the creator or whatever even said that the reason why Johnny's not in the movie, because they wanted him to be in there, obviously, he's Johnny Cage. He's one of the main characters of the series, is that they wanted Johnny to be saved because when Johnny Cage is in something, he's going to be a huge deal and he's going to take a lot of screen time away from other characters, even if it's unintentional. That's just who Johnny is. He takes the room. Right. They wanted this to be a little more serious and not have Johnny Cage cracking a lot of jokes in this kind of situation. So Johnny has saved him for the next.
We had Kano. Dude, Kano was the surprising star of the whole movie, I think.
But didn't I say Kano could be that surprising guy? I said that on the last.
You did say it. You did say it.
Since the first trailer that Kano could be something special.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that shit was hilarious. Especially when like he found the laser eye with the egg roll shit. He was just so mad about pass the fucking egg roll. Dude, I lost my shit. That was so fucking funny.
That was funny,
man. Dude, he was a trip, man. Him and Sonya, like especially like their dynamic where they were just kind of ripping on each other. Definitely fun to watch for me.
Of course, and that's the whole thing. Sonya and Kano hate each other, the grand scheme of things. The hatred is even obviously 10 times worse in the games. But yeah, they hate each other, and it's always destined for Sonya to whoop Kano's ass. To be fair, it's always destined for Kano to get his ass whooped by everybody. But Sonya's usually the one that puts him down most of the time and gets killed. Right. But
gotcha.
Here's something real quick that I didn't like, though, about the characters that was pretty much used was the way they used a lot of these characters. Not just the injustice of what happened to Goro, because that was just probably the most egregious thing they did, Stephen A. Smith. But something else that was just really bad to me was the uses of Melina. Melina is one of the, whether you like Melina or hate Melina, she is one of the most popular characters in all of Mortal Kombat. I mean, literally, before Mortal Kombat 11 came out, all you heard was, is Melina going to be in the game? When you
Mhm.
found out that Melina was not going to be a part of the original game, all Ed Boon even said, the most requests he heard for DLC was Melina. Melina. Bring her back. So they brought her back.
Okay.
So, because she died in X. But, you know, Mortal Kombat, death is not really the end all be all. You can
Right.
And they did it perfectly by using time travel to have a lot of characters who died come back instead of being like revived like Scorpion or some other crazy way. But Melina is one of those characters that should have not been killed.
You know, hold on. Can I just stop you for a second? Because I have to say, for just real quick, that I'm so mad at you for calling that poor girl who worked with us, Melina, because every time I watched or like anything to do with Mortal Kombat, when like Melina is a part of it, all I could think is that poor girl with the jack teeth that you called Melina every day, Chris. And I was just like, ah. All right, so for those of you out there who are listening, we had the sweetest girl that worked with us as a cashier, but she did have some jack teeth. So Chris would call her Melina because like great looking girl, except for the teeth and mouth area. And so now anytime I hear Melina, it's just like what my mind goes to. I was like, oh damn, we did that girl wrong.
All right. Thanks for going live with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, look, I didn't say no names. Okay, I didn't say no names.
So, Melina should have not been killed in this movie. She should have been in the next movie. You shouldn't have killed Melina off.
What do you think they're going to try to bring her back, like you were saying, like in the game, and just kind of revive her or whatever?
I mean, maybe they probably will, but why waste the effort why not just have her live? They could have easily had her run away like Melina has done most of the time, and she gets her butt whooped, she dips. Right. So why not just have her run away, get away? At the end, something happened where they're distracted, and Melina gets out. She lives. Right. Because even her death was kind of anticlimactic. She just got shot, and it was just like, oh, she's dead already. Oh, okay.
Right.
Like it wasn't really that crazy. It was just like, oh.
I was a little surprised that they killed her. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they killed. I was surprised they killed a lot of people. That like before we even had a tournament, they were killing people left and right. I was like, okay, all right.
That's what I'm saying, and I think it would have been, and then like the Kung Lao death was really disappointing. The fact that they barely moaned his death. It was like a little bit. And then it was like, that was it. They're back cracking jokes and stuff and moving on. Like, it was like, you have him sacrifice himself. And then he dies. And then it was like, really? But why not make a real emotional moment for him dying in the tournament? You could have had Shao Kahn kill him in the tournament. Like, basically what happened in the game, where he's fighting and then Shao Kahn runs up on him and freaking just snaps his neck. You could have basically had something like that happen. And then you could have went into a very emotional revenge fight with, I would think, Liu Kang, but probably Cole Young, because, you know.
Right.
But anyway, one of them could have had that emotional battle with Shao Kahn. And that, to me, would have been a better story to tell than having him just die in the first movie.
Yeah. They're gonna bring people back, man. I mean, I'm pretty like they have to, right? They're gonna bring on both sides. I think they're gonna bring people back, but we'll see. Maybe not in the second movie, but maybe in the third or something. They'll just whatever they'll.
It's just you had other characters you could have used to fulfill some deaths in the series that would have been okay, and you could have saved some of these bigger names deaths if needed for the second movie. Like Melina dying in the second movie would have been fine or whatever, if you want to go down that route. But you could have had other characters show up and it would have been really cool. Like Melina could have survived this one, and then she could have ended up dying to Devorah in the second movie. Like she dies in the game to Devorah. Like they could have did that, but they didn't do that. So it was like, okay, well now Melina's dead, and Katana hasn't been shown yet. So this is kind of weird because Katana's not in the movie. and Melina's a clone of Katana. So what? So that also makes it weird because is Katana gonna have to be black now?
I don't know. So
Because
maybe they'll bring in
Asian.
Katana
She's supposed to be
and
Asian.
then do like a second clone or whatever. Maybe they'll like bring back Melina 2.0. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll just have to see.
Weird. That just seems
But
weird.
again, yeah,
it's just stuff that they shouldn't have. Like they could have thought out maybe a little bit more and maybe tweak certain things. But again, I think they could have used some other characters and established them better. Like they could have had Reptile look like a beast instead of what he ended up being in that movie. And yes, I know Reptile's a jobber, but I mean,
yeah, he's whatever.
They could have still had him coming there like a freaking savage, looking like a monster, and then eventually gets killed by somebody in the first movie. They want to go down that route, but you could have used other characters to fulfill these roles where they could have been the ones that Shang Tsung used, and then you could have got to the more heavier hitters like Goro, having Melina being more prominent, because she could have definitely been in one and still lost and got her ass kicked because that's Melina's duty to get beat up. But I'm saying you could have still had her do more things. Because, I mean, hell, even Sonya got her ass kicked through a lot of parts of the movie, too, though, to be fair.
Yeah, she didn't even have the wasn't even part of really Mortal Kombat until she killed Kano.
Yeah, she got going with Kano. Kano was kind of whooping her, too. And then she, like, just,
a little bit.
Just kind of killed her. But
used the smarts.
Yeah, she used her smarts. But I think that was something. But some Easter eggs I saw.
Go ahead.
Obviously Katana's fan. That was something I was like, oh, that's cool. It's Katana's fan. There was pictures of Kotal Khan, which I thought was cool.
Okay.
There was a picture of Shao Kahn, which I was like, okay. Which he will obviously be huge in the next movie.
Right.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Just stuff like that. I was very happy with some of those Easter eggs that I was seeing. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Okay. Let me ask you this. So let's go into more of the video game side of Mortal Kombat. So was that the first fighting game that you ever played?
Actually, no. Street Fighter. Street Fighter was the first fighting game I played.
Street Fighter, was that the first game you played? Was it arcade style or did you play on a console?
Street Fighter 2 arcade was the first one I played.
Okay.
That was the first one I played in the arcade. And
awesome.
I was ever since that. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I wish I had more.
I played, there was when I was growing up, I played hockey a lot. So when I would go to like the camps and everything, they had like their little arcade section in the ice rink. And there was Tekken. Tekken was the first fighting arcade game that I played. It was Tekken 2, I remember. My go-to character was Law. I think the character's name is Martial Law. Which of course his name is Martial Law. It's pretty funny to think about now. But Law was my go-to dude for some reason. I don't know why. And yeah, then that was my game. And oh my gosh, it's funny to know that your first was Street Fighter 2 on the arcade. That's awesome.
Do you think that it's because of the Bruce Lee reference? Obviously he's Bruce Lee basically in the Tekken world.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. I was probably, I want to say I was probably like an 8, 9, maybe. Definitely, like my dad was not happy to find me playing that game. Like I was young enough for it to be like, really, like this is what you're doing? Because Tekken wasn't even that bad as far as like blood and gore and everything. It was like instead of blood coming out, it was like fire or like little fireballs or whatever.
It's like little power things. Like it's not the Power Rangers when they get hit. It's
exactly.
Power Rangers. I don't know about recent stuff, but because I know like recent comics and you read about Tommy and going crazy and Lord Zord or whatever, Zad or whatever his name. He's killing people left and right. There's a lot of blood there. But I'm saying the old Power Rangers, when it was cutting each other, it was like pow, pow, and fireworks and fire and stuff. Yeah, it wasn't any blood whatsoever. But Tekken was definitely good for that. Tekken is the first game I got legitly competitive in. I will say that was the first one where I was like, all right, I'm gonna go online and play this competitively, or play like more not really online, but more of like local with friends, or when you got somebody else's house game. Then
the double controllers.
Tekken was the one I got the most serious in that. Because Tekken is just wow. But Mortal Kombat is definitely something that a lot of parents did not want their kids playing.
No.
Because just how brutal that game was. And it's funny because you look at the graphics now and it's just like, wow, this ain't that bad. I mean, it's blood, but you can see how crappy the blood is. But then you think back of it being the 90s, and it's like, yeah, okay.
It's funny. It's actually one of those games that, like, if you go back to any kind of like video game documentary or anything, like just the beginning of fighting games was obviously Street Fighter. And that one, you know, obviously parents were not happy with Street Fighter, but then when Mortal Kombat came, and it was just another level of like, that was the first one that they really tried to go get banned. So I mean, that just says something in and of itself right there, and so I mean, but it changed the game. It changed, like, ever since, you know, Mortal Kombat, these fight games are trying to one up each other. Even you know, whether it's Tekken, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat trying to one up itself with some of the ridiculous finishing scenes that we have seen. Or even like just so far as to say like Injustice, where it's like DC characters that are going ham on each other, and Marvel vs. Capcom or something like that, where you had like the Marvel characters going. Marvel never really had like the ultra violent part. I don't think, like, that was always a little bit more cartoony, but still, like, they were still trying.
Marvel versus Capcom, so it was Street Fighter and Marvel, and Street Fighter,
right?
Street Fighter is not known for having like a bunch of blood in their games whatsoever. It's known for just their regular stuff.
Right.
But man, I think Mortal Kombat, I remember hearing Mortal Kombat's the reason why they have the rating system in games, like the R-rated and all that stuff in fighting games. I think Mortal Kombat was like the reason.
So I
think it was definitely
they
one of the leading candidates for it.
Right. Yeah, I think, like, I wish I remember exactly, because I've watched a couple of documentaries before of video games. I want to say that does sound familiar, that Mortal Kombat was like the leading charge for actual putting ratings on games. But yeah, no, that, I mean, that's yeah. I never really got into the games as a kid, though, like on a console. Part of that, of course, being my family like not letting me get it, right? But part of it was just like, it's more, I always felt like it was more fun to enjoy arcade style than it was to have the actual game. But maybe I just need to get one of the actual games and just go ahead and play it through for the storyline and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely honestly start with the more recent ones. Just go straight to Mortal Kombat 9, go through 9, go through 10, and then go through 11.
Okay.
And you'll get your full feel of everything you need. You'll know how the story is currently constructed and all the good stuff with that. But the fatalities in Mortal Kombat is something that sometimes I sit there and just think to myself, how the hell do y'all think of some of this? Like, it gets better and better with each game in terms of just gorier and gorier.
Right,
like, I never thought one of my favorite things in life is watching Cassie Cage's fatality, where she does her selfie in Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Mortal Kombat X. And I've showed you that as soon as it happened. And it's just like the funniest thing ever. And I'm just like, this is like really fucked up what you just did to that person. But it's a selfie too. It's hilarious.
It's someone's job to sit there and think of the most like ridiculous, brutal fatality scenes that they possibly can. And you know what? I'm kind of jealous. I kind of want that job.
I do too. I would love to be thinking of some sick. Yo, so especially when I'm at work. So like,
yeah, you know, that person came from a retail background. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to do to all of my customers.
That dude was definitely thinking some of that stuff. Like, this is what I wanted to do for long. I'm gonna fulfill fantasy now. This is what I've been waiting for life to do. So like when Kung Lao had that fatality with his hat or whatever, and I think it was Atari he did it too in a movie. Bat Lady, where he
I said that shit was wild.
Right.
I'm glad that they did that one. I know that's a classic one.
In the game, and I'm pretty sure it's either, I think it's X. in X, when he does that fatality, he has the hat spinning like that and normal, but he grabs your legs and then pulls you towards it. So it's basically going up. And I'm like,
crack
oh,
up.
that's amazing. But what the fuck? Like, it just gets crazy. And you sit there and it's like how games have evolved to when you look at the fatalities from the original Mortal Kombat in the 90s, where, you know, Sub-Zero would rip a person's spine out, and it was like, oh my God, that's so gruesome. But in reality, you look at it now and it's like, that's nothing. It's just, you know, a little skeleton and some little blood here and there. And then you look at what fatalities are now when he does that same thing, and it's so much more gruesome. And you're just like, damn, things have evolved and has changed so much, because we went from arcades to now consoles. And basically, unfortunately, arcades is pretty much gone now.
Yeah, they are pretty much gone.
Except for in Japan, there's still, you know, some arcade joints around, but in America,
there are for arcades, I think, to survive right now, they're in bars right now. For like, they're arcade bars. So I have seen a couple. There are a couple actually in Charlotte that I would love to check out sometime in the future. But that, I mean, it's more of like, because kids these days, they don't fucking know. They grow up with an iPad in their hands or whatever. So like, games to them, it's so much more accessible, which makes it a lot more different. For, you know, when we were growing up, it was like video games were not as accessible. It was expensive as hell. And it was more, if you had a couple quarters or whatever, you could play at the arcade. So that's kind of what you did. You played at the arcade, whether it was at, like I said, like the ice skating rink or roller rink or whatever, or if you actually went to, or maybe like the bowling alley or you know, wherever it was. But for now it's like, for an arcade to actually survive outside of, let's say, like destination places like bowling alleys or roller rinks or whatever, I think it has to be like a themed bar. I hate to say it, but that's kind of what it is.
You're right. And of course, that's the whole difference for a lot of kids nowadays, of how much easier games are, where you don't even have to go to stores. For me and you had to go to stores. And you know, you know a lot about my personal background, so I don't need to go up and on here. But it wasn't easy for me to get my hands on any video games back when I was younger. But now, when you look at what kids can do, one, they don't even have to like go to a store and buy a game. They can literally just buy everything at home in an instant. Only thing they have to do is wait for it to download on their console or computer or whatever. Their biggest issue is their internet speed. Where for us, definitely when we was growing up, they might not have the game in the store. And if it's not in the store, you're not getting it. You can't go home and download it at home. That's it.
Nope.
You're done. You have to wait till they get a copy in and hope that they do. And if they and they're not going to tell you when they get it in. You just got to either keep coming back or just hope that it's there the next time you come back. It was so much different for us growing up.
Okay, 2 questions for you. One, your first ever like video game that you played. First ever video game that you played. Not arcade, just like actual video game.
Sonic.
Okay.
Sonic was the
first game that you played. What was the first console that you had? Like, that you could say, like, I had this console.
First console, Super Nintendo.
Okay. Oh, well, we're the same there. Super Nintendo was my first console for sure. First game that I played was Mario, though. So it's always like a Mario versus Sonic thing going on. I remember, so I had when I was very young, like 5-ish, I think, I had a hernia operation. I couldn't walk for like a week. And so my parents got the Super Nintendo, or I think like a friend of theirs gave it to them as like a whatever, like, we don't need this kind of thing. Like, here you go. And and they were like, oh, perfect. You know, my kid's not going to be able to walk for the next week or whatever. So I remember playing Mario, like the Super Nintendo Mario, for about a week, and that was like that's where I loved video games from right there. Was Mario. And then going from there, I remember, because I remember like they sold it or they put it away, but I wasn't really like, after that I didn't really play video games again for a while. It was whenever I went to visit my grandparents. We would play odd games. I remember like an Aladdin game. I think there was like a Jurassic Park game or something like that. The original Mario Kart, which was terrible on the on on that Super Nintendo. But yeah, really started getting into it when my grandmother and my uncle would come visit me because they lived in Florida at the time and we were in Charlotte, and they would come visit, but they would always bring their N64. And like I remember begging and begging on begging for an N64. And it was so long before my parents finally got me one for Christmas, and they'll tell you that story. They did the classic like dad thing where like you open up all your presents and you didn't get it, so you're like, oh, I didn't get it for Christmas, and then they're like, wait, what's this? Like, like what, whatever, and like, here you go.
You're like, oh my god, yeah, I love it. Yeah, this is awesome.
This is the best day of my life, like that kind of thing. Yeah, which is exactly the reaction they were fishing for.
Yeah.
But from there, the big games that like growing up with was Mario Party. I remember that one for sure. Like the whole family would get together to play Mario Party. Tetris was a big one. Mario Kart, obviously, and then the first one where it was like actually had to go through a story was Yoshi's World. Was the first one, that I actually had to like go through. Like they went literally page by page because that was the graphics back then. But that was the first one story wise that I did. How about you? Take us through your video game history, Chris.
So that's funny because you say the family game thing. I didn't have much of that, but the one thing me and my mom did play, and she was amazing at Mario Kart. She was actually super good at that, and like Mario Tetris, she was amazing at that too. She was really good at that. Nice. Yeah, so because Tetris, they have like almost there's Street Fighter Tetris too.
What? I didn't know this. I just played like the original Tetris.
This was Street Fighter characters, and when stuff happens, they like fight each other. So
that's awesome.
Yes. So she was really good at those two.
JBK's dad says Atari 2600, baby. I'm assuming first console. That's awesome.
That is awesome. But the things that I really heavily grew up on, especially when things got a little bit better, I brought up in like the first episode my friend Storm in New York. And when I would go to his house, because we was on the same floor, so when I would just walk a couple of doors down, go to his house, we would always play heavy Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like we would play heavy in those games, and
fighting games.
Yes, very heavy in those fighting games. And I gotta be honest with you, like I held back a lot against him, and it's not me being like, "Oh my god, I'm so amazing." I just did because I just want, honestly, being so young, I was like, I don't want to like whoop him, and then he's like, I don't want you coming over anymore. I do. Boy, here playing these games is really fun. But I grew up heavy on those things. But in terms of like a single thing, I'll say this much at least: the games I probably had the most fun when I was playing, at least in terms, especially when it's from start to finish, was Mass Effect 2. When I went through that from start to finish, the suicide mission is still probably my favorite final mission in gaming. And then, for whatever reasons, Kingdom Hearts 2, that ending, I had so much fun in that game too. Those are games that just come to my head instantly. But when I was younger,
I think that was Alexis's like one of her favorite games. Was it one of the Kingdom Hearts? I can't remember which one, but I know she has definitely mentioned that before in the past as like one of her all-time favorite games.
Yes,
I've never played any of them though, so I don't know.
I'm a big Final Fantasy fan too. So a lot of those characters was in the Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 too, if I'm not right. But either way, but like growing up though, Sonic again was definitely
Sonic.
I would go to my grandmother's house, grandfather's house, and my uncle Sean had a Sega, so he would let me play it, and I would just just play Sonic. He had Sonic 1 and 2, and I would just go through those games, and I had so much fun.
That's awesome.
Playing Sonic. Then eventually got into Mario, of course, when I got the Nintendo, and that was always fun. Mario was always a fun one, but I gotta say I had more fun with Sonic than Mario, maybe because that was the first one I played, and I was just
Sonic is definitely like a more fun game. It's just brighter, cheerier, everything like that. Mario, you just sit there cursing that because like some of those levels are just impossible. I remember like when they remastered it for Game Boy, and I had it for Game Boy and just trying to get through, and I would still just be like, all right, fuck this game. Like because it's just like, even to this day, I'm sure like if I were to try to pull it up right now and just play, yeah, I'd get through a whole bunch of levels, but there will be a level eventually that I'll just be like, you know what, fuck this, I'm done. And I'm like rage quitting freaking Mario 79.
Yeah,
it's just like, get out of here.
No, seriously though, Mario 64 is still like one of the greatest games ever.
Dude,
like,
I was just about to say some of the most some of the most like ahead of its time games.
Yes,
came from N64. I feel like
yes,
Mario being one of them. I remember like my uncle and I playing Mario for hours on end. Of like going through the pictures and everything,
yes,
the world and stuff.
Here,
yeah. Another one that was ahead of its time, obviously, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I think that one has to hold up as one of the all-time greatest games. Period. I heard that they're remastering it for the Switch right now. That is a rumor that is circulating because Breath of the Wild did so well that they're remastering Ocarina of Time to release, I think.
Yeah, wow, killed it, man. So
yeah, Alexis has it. She's actually playing it now.
Okay,
so yeah. So she loves it. What was another one? You know, another one that's like really ahead of its time. And you're gonna think I'm crazy for saying this, but Pokemon, like the original Red, Blue, Yellow.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude! Ahead of its time, dude. Like for an 8-bit game on the Game Boy, oh my gosh! Like to this day, I will still bust out that like the old game and play just the levels, like going through what you had to do, going back to certain worlds or whatever. Like there were towns in that game, so going back to certain towns that have to redo things to come back to go forward.
The gym leaders and all that other good stuff.
Gym leaders, the music, even like for 8-bit music, goddamn! Like,
dude, everybody still remembers the Lavender Town music, how creepy and eerie it is. Like all that stuff was just amazing. Yeah, you got it. See, that's what I said. See,
exactly. And I haven't played that game for freaking ever. Right. So yeah, that was ahead of its time, and I don't know. I can't really like nothing else pops off of the tongue for me. But what about you? What games do you think were just ahead of its time?
I would definitely say I agree with you on the Pokemon stuff, and because you look at it, Mario and Pokemon are probably they're hands down Nintendo's two biggest names in their gaming. It's Mario and then it's Pokemon. Those are the two biggest sellers and those are the two biggest hitters. But man, Pokemon did so many things right for what it was all the way back then, and it's not even that crazy like technology wise. It's just amazing,
right? JBK's dad says N64 GoldenEye was the shiznit. I forgot about GoldenEye.
Man, have you ever played that?
Of course, GoldenEye was.
Yes, that was super fun. Oh my god, that's a throwback right there, man. That was fun as hell.
GoldenEye was one of those games where like I would go over to whatever, like a buddy's house who happened to have it, and like that was the game. Period. Like the whole sleepover or whatever it was, like we did not leave that spot. And you know how like the N64, it was all wired, so you had to sit pretty goddamn close to the TV. So we would just all sit there on the floor. And like whoever's house we were at or whatever, like their mom would come. Do you guys want some snacks? It was almost like a South Park episode. Mom, I want some cheesy mouse. Yeah, like they bring snacks or whatever, like drinks and like. But really, like the whole like until 4 or 5 in the morning or whatever, we're just sitting there playing GoldenEye. So yeah, I forgot about that one, but that was definitely a big.
That was definitely a fun one. Crash Bandicoot was really fun too.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, definitely.
That was super fun.
Super frustrating game that made me want to throw my controller all the time. Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, that was fun. I broke like 14 controllers, but yeah, that was
I got grounded like 3 times playing that game.
Like, look, James, you cannot play this anymore, but I gotta finish it. You can't start this without finishing mom.
God, there was actually a game that made me so mad that I got in trouble. I want to say it was Banjo-Kazooie. Where I got so mad that I couldn't do some certain part that I cursed like at whatever age 9 or 10 or whatever, and I definitely got in trouble for that, and my mom had to do the whole wash your mouth out with soap thing. And I didn't even realize that I did it. Like, I was so mad at the game, I didn't even realize what I was saying. So whatever I said, yeah, exactly. I probably said "fuck," and like it just look, that was it. So, but that I remember the Banjo-Kazooie game. That was like my grandmother's favorite game too, because there was something where like you would fart out eggs or whatever. She thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Like, my grandma, she's the sweetest lady, but like her humor is definitely fart jokes. What's up, Southern Comic Geek? What's up, Captain Comics? We're just talking about video games and stuff. But yeah, the farting out the eggs thing was definitely that's what made it her favorite game right there.
Yes. I do want to say this too, going back a little bit, in terms of evolution.
Okay.
Think about when it comes to a little more fighting games too. Think about how, when you remember the original fighting games back in the 90s and growing up early, they didn't care about single player content in terms of story. It was more of a thing where it was like, you get like some little text at the end if you beat arcade mode on some games. Certain times it'd just be like, congratulations, you win, game over. Now do it all over again, or go fight somebody for real.
True. That's like
it is a totally different situation, and that's because of Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat to me was the one, and you can say Tekken has a lot to say with that too, because Tekken has some pretty interesting stuff, especially when it comes to ending stuff at the end of their games. But in terms of the whole like cinematic stuff, from like basically start to finish, Mortal Kombat was the one that really went heavy in that. And to me, they really started it in DC versus Mortal Kombat, where a lot of that game is you pick between the DC or Mortal Kombat side, and it's chapters and it's story driven, and then you fight and then cutscenes and all that stuff. And then they just took it to a whole nother level when it comes to 9, 10, and X, where now it's like, if you like, honestly, you can probably go to YouTube and look up the whole, just nothing but the cutscenes. It's like 4 hours long.
Oh, wow.
So it would be even longer if you're fighting and you're not even that good at the game because you're going through these rounds. That's just how much content they put in that. And now every fighting game now is like, we have to do it too. Like, even Street Fighter was like, we have no choice. We got to. Our fans want this now, and we got to do this. So, like,
as far as like having really cool. As far as having like a story and cutscenes and everything going on,
having everything actually like have a reason for why these characters are here and doing this, and not just like the super generic thing of like, the world was in trouble, so we gathered the strongest beings here to fight in this tournament. All right, that's it. Good luck.
And then so one thing that I mean, because like growing up again, like I wasn't able to play some of these more violent fighting games. So my fighting game growing up was Super Smash Brothers for the N64. So that was kind of like my introduction to fighting games was that one. So, but I'm with you. So for N64, when you go single player mode and you got to fight your way through or whatever with the character, there were like 2 other levels where you had to break targets and then step on those pad things, right? And then everything else was just, you're fighting this, you're fighting this, you're fighting a team of this, you're fighting this, you're fighting this, and then you fight the hand, and then that's it. Roll credits. But yeah, no, you're right. There weren't really any cutscenes. There was no reason that you were battling these people on these certain areas or whatever, and that was that. But really, it was mainly meant to be a multiplayer game where you get together with your friends and sit there and play Smash.
Yeah, and it was definitely different from how multiplayer is now, because now multiplayer is you sit at home and you and somebody from a console, you at your house, they're at their house, or around the world, and you're playing that way. Multiplayer for us was y'all right next to each other, couching and playing the game,
talking shit in real life.
In real life. Fights started and everything. Just
you're over there like trying to slap the controller out of their hand while you're fighting at the same time playing. You're like slapping them and like, what?
Dude, I have a real story like that with being one of my homies was playing, and he like smacked the controller out of my hand, and he got around on me, and it made me so mad. I smacked him, and he smacked me back, and we got to a little bit of a fight. And then afterwards, we stopped, looked at each other, didn't say a word, sat back down, and started playing again.
That's how it was, man. It was serious with these fighting games, man. Yeah, now
that's how it was, yo. We had to get a quick shuffle in, yo.
That's right. You know, that's just part of the game. That's like it should have been advertised on the box as like you're probably gonna fight your friend in real life too.
That's right. Well and you'll see who your real friends are if y'all friendship end right then and there, or if y'all able to continue at least finish the rounds, finish your spin at least.
You ever play with someone who would turn the console off if they were losing? You ever play with someone like, bro? I'd have to smack them in real life for sure. Be like, really? You're gonna turn the console off because you're losing? You know, all those people are cops now.
Bro, yeah. Luckily, I didn't go into that with any of my homies or anything. I did date a girl one time, and we was playing. I think we was playing like a wrestling game. I think we was playing one of the WWE games. I think what was it? It was one of the 2K games or whatever. Or no, it might have been might have been. Yeah, I don't know. It was one of the wrestling games, and like I'm not even really trying. But like I would do a move here and there, and I was basically letting her just win. But she started talking too much trash, and I was like, okay. She kept going, and I was like, all right. And he's like, you're the worst at this and that. Okay, I'm gonna play a little more serious now. She didn't get a single hit on me. She got mad and turned the console off. And like part of me was like, I should kick you out of my house. Yeah, I was so angry that happened. I was just like,
that's just one of those things, man. I mean, everyone's got a story of like playing with somebody or some friend or whatever that turned the console off when they were losing. It's just like, really?
Like, really?
Yeah. For me, it was all Mario Kart because I used to be like crazy good at Mario Kart back before they made it where you get dizzy just looking at the screen that you're driving on. But back in the day, I was actually like really decent at Mario Kart, and I had a friend who like he thought he was hot shit at Mario Kart until he played me, and then like when I kept winning, he just turned the console off. I was like, all right, well, we're done playing, period, so I'm not gonna play it at all.
That's it.
And then like nowadays I get whooped by my little brother who's 10 years younger than me at Mario Kart because I can't even see where the fuck I'm going. I'm looking into this thing. I'm getting motion sickness trying to drive the car like just straight. Like there's just shit swirling around and everything. I'm just like, all right, this is not happening. And you just fly and stuff.
Like, you just throw up on the floor. Like it's cool.
Yeah, just keep playing. Like, yeah, so I can't even fuck with Mario Kart no more. Now I'm going back actually. What I'm playing now is they remastered the whole Spyro games. And Spyro is Alexis's favorite game.
Right.
So the first present I ever bought for her, I actually have it behind me here because I pulled it out just for this special occasion.
Ooh.
Is the Black Label Spyro PlayStation 1, like the original colored disc game.
Look at that.
Yeah, so we looked it up recently, and a sealed copy of this game goes for like $2,000 or something like that in like perfect condition if you get it graded.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like crazy how collectibles in video games have gone up like that. But like the first one, so it's going to be 7 years for us in about a week, which is crazy to think about. So 7 years ago, she went on a trip to Peru, and I got her like a welcome back care package because she was gone for a long time. And it was like Spyro 1, 2, and 3, the original games for her PlayStation, and like some munchies and snacks and everything for her to play. So of course, when they remastered the game, I had to get it for her. When they remastered it for Xbox One, just kind of like a throwback, you know, this is the first present I got you, so of course I got to get this to you. And now they have it on the Switch as well, and we've both been going back and playing the original Spyro game on the Switch, which is a lot of fun because I haven't played it since I was like very, very, very young. And it was also my aunt's, like on my mom's side. It was like her favorite game. So when I would go to her house, we would play Spyro together. But yeah, I haven't played it since then. So like going back, I'm like, oh man, this game is. I forgot how wildly complicated they made this game, even though it's for a child. Like
Yes.
it was meant for children. And
Children.
this game, like you can't figure this shit out if you tried without like a guide. Like me now, as a 30-year-old adult, I'm having issues figuring out what I'm supposed to do going forward playing this damn game.
Next. That's something too that's amazing of the difference in games. Back then, and it's also for fighting games and a lot of other games, you would get like definitely games that didn't have heavy story content, like a fighting game. You'll get like a booklet that would tell you the background of the character. And that's basically how you would put it together. And it would also tell you how to do their moves and all the other stuff. And a lot of other games like a Spyro or like a Crash Bandicoot or games like that, they have like their little booklet that have other stuff in there that tells you some things and all that other good stuff. Now when you buy a game, like let me see, let's just go with Cyberpunk, whatever. You open Cyberpunk up, this is your booklet. It's pictures. That's it.
Facts.
Yeah. Like there's no booklet anymore. Like they don't do that anymore. You just get that. And it's like, all right, that's it. Like that.
I remember, I remember getting a little bit of a booklet. I remember having to buy guides to be able to beat the game. Like you would have to go to wherever, like Toys R Us or whatever, and like spend $3 or $4 to buy like a little magazine that was basically like that had walked you through on how to beat certain things. Because I mean, honestly, without it, there are some games that like to this day I would be like, I don't know how you're supposed to figure that out all by yourself.
Oh my God. Yes, there's
I remember there's like video game documentaries where people will talk about there were actually call centers. Like you would have to call a call center when you were stuck on a certain level and have a video game expert walk you through what exactly you were supposed to do, because literally like it was impossible to figure some of the shit out. Like the game designers, I guess they just didn't think it through. They're like, oh, we got to make it, difficult or clever, or else they're just going to beat it real fast and be bored or whatever. And like, you just went a little too far over the line there, buddy.
Yes, 100%. Oh my God, that's true. And nowadays, that's not how it works now, because now if you stuck on something, you just literally type in the game and then the situation, and you just watch the video, and it shows you everything to do. Or you can read the guide from like an ING or IGN or any other gaming website, and you can just read what's going on. And then if you don't feel like reading, you can just go to their website and watch the view on YouTube. So you can always just watch what you need.
That is definitely something that is like just so much different going back into it. Because I mean, like again, I'll just use Spyro because that's the most recent in my memory. But there was something that Alexis and I were both like, what? And we had to go and just type into YouTube or whatever how to beat such and such, and for it to come up and show us exactly what we're supposed, or the order that we were supposed to do it or whatever. But like that, it's so different now to do that than it was like back, when we were kids, and either you sat there and figured it out by yourself, or you didn't figure it out.
That's right. Like that becomes a game in the archive that you just never beat, because you had to do that yourself. And like, especially for me, if I'm playing a game back then, I had the money to go buy a book or anything like that. So I had to figure that out myself, and that was that. Either it was going to happen or I was never going to beat it.
Yeah. One I remember the most buying the booklet for, or I think my mom might have bought it for me, was the Pokemon game. But even that one was just to kind of show you what you could get where or whatever. It wasn't like there wasn't anything too difficult about advancing through the Pokemon game that you couldn't spend a little bit of time and figure out. But it was that one was the one I remember having the guide for. But the other ones, I was just like, screw this. Like, the one big example was Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda. That one was that had some pretty tricky things to figure out. And I remember one time waiting. Like, I had the game, I played it to a certain point, couldn't figure it out, and then waited like multiple months for my uncle to have his next visit to Charlotte or whatever. and then we put it in, and it was like, all right, how do we get past? But like that was there was no Google how to get past it, and 5 seconds later you're past it. I waited multiple months to have someone tell me like what exactly it was supposed to do to get past it. And I mean, it's just so different now.
It's just like with like Final Fantasy VIII.
Okay.
You have like these little card games that you could play. And it's initially brought up to be one of those things where it's like, oh, you could just play this card game when you're not like killing monsters, just something to do. Well, the card game actually has other benefits to it where it can get you like really powerful stuff. Make some monsters powerful, get you some powerful summons. It can do some really cool stuff. And then there's ways you can manipulate it where you can go to a certain area early on in the game and keep fighting this specific monster and fighting it over and over and getting a pretty good drop eventually and using that to kind of steamroll the game. And there's so many different things you can do. But again, this game came out in like the 90s. So most people didn't know that. Nobody, you know, it's stuff like that you just don't know. And then when you look at this stuff and it's like, how the hell did this guy figure this out? Like, who's the first person to figure this out and say, oh, this is what happened? Like,
that's what I wonder sometimes too, man. Like, I honestly, like, did they just get lucky? I mean, did they have some kind of insight? I mean, sometimes I'm just like, dang, like, who's spending the time to figure some of this stuff out?
It's like the developer telling his kid, and he's like, this is what you need to do. This is code. Be the one that you just figured it out. Something else that's really different, and I want your opinion on this real quick. What you think of it? In the past, when we was growing up, a game shipped to you, all the content was on the game. There wasn't DLCs. Like the Spyro game, that was all of Spyro. There wasn't DLC later on for Spyro for the PlayStation. That was it. That was Spyro. You want some extra content? Wait till part 2 comes out. What do you think now where games are not shipped? A lot of times they're not even shipped finished. They're just shipped for what they are, and then they'll add DLC later, and sometimes that just continues on things that probably should have been in a regular game, or it's just for later on stuff.
I can't stand that. See, like back in when we were growing up, I hate to say back in the day, it was like 20-something years ago though. So when we would buy a game, right, like especially for, let's say, like N64 or whatever, like that was a cart. There was no, like you said, there was no way to download anything else into it. You had to put a separate fucking save thing into your system to even be able to save the game. To even save the game, you had to do that. So let's just say like the Mario 64 game. Like there were no downloadable worlds or any added content. You paid your $60 for the game, and then that was the game, start to finish. Like it was done 100%, no glitches. They made sure they tested, etc. Boom, out. And nowadays it seems like games are almost rushed to a point where they go to hit deadlines or whatever, and they put it out there. Or they purposely put it out there with you wanting more so that you'll have to pay to download more stuff onto the game. So even though you're paying the $60 to play the game, and then you're paying whatever to download more extra parts to the game, or to download the fixes that they fucked up while rushing to get it out, and then you got to wait for them to patch it or whatever so you could download the patch. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like that's why I can't mess with it so much anymore, because it's just like, if you're gonna take the time to put out this game, advertise the game, you know, put a deadline or whatever release date on the game, and then put it out there for us to pay, because I mean we're still paying like a lot. It's a lot of money for a game, $50-$60 for a game, and for it to not be done. Come on, man. Like
it's a shame. It really sucks. And then in fighting games now, when a game can come out, and you might like this character and love this character, but some people are struggling with the character. And I think the word broken is thrown around way too much when especially in the fighting community, where a character is better than some other character sometimes, they'll be like, oh, this character is broken. When that's not necessarily true. It's just you have to figure out certain things to get around them, but it's not necessarily that big of a deal. It's actually kind of easy if you actually look at it. But a lot of time people complain now because they don't want to put in the work and figure out how you actually work a lot of characters. Now, though, when a character, to me, and this frustrates me sometimes, you pay $60 for a game. You paid the money for this game. You like this specific character, but a couple of people complain, and it's not even that big, but a couple of people complain, and then they patch this character and make them terrible.
Mm.
And then you have to use that character moving forward, because if you don't download the patch, you can't download some of the other stuff that comes later on.
Right. Yeah.
Like stuff like that makes me angry. Whereas like, are you serious? I paid money for this, and now you're telling me this character's completely changed now? Like he or she is complete garbage now. And it's not even a thing of like, oh no, forget this. No, they're just trash now. Their damage has been reduced, or their moves are gone, or their moves has been changed. Their frame rate, all the stuff has changed. Like stuff like that does annoy me, because the patch came out of nowhere and changed everything. And a lot of times when they patch something, they end up making a whole nother problem. And then you have, like you were saying,
okay, I didn't even think about that.
Patch to come out. Like, because that's what happened a lot. And again, I love Cyberpunk, but that's what happened a lot in Cyberpunk. A couple of their patches they would do would cause an actual game-breaking bug, and then you have to wait for them to patch that out. Like they did a patch, and then there was a situation where Takamura now, it's been patched out since, but Takamura would call, and then he would just stay on the screen. But you need him to actually finish his conversation and hang up to progress the main story. So if he just stayed on the screen, your main story is done. Nothing's going to happen going forward. That's a game break.
Oh my gosh.
They had to patch that because the patch they did before caused that issue. And it's like, bro, what the hell?
So with some of these new games, and I know I think what was EA Sports, I know, is definitely one that's accused of the most as far as charging extra for downloadable content on their games, the sports games and stuff.
Loot boxes too.
Famous for what? Go ahead.
Loot boxes.
Go ahead. So what's that?
So basically, it's like, okay, you would spend real life money to get a box that would have potentially weapons or armor that is better than what other people would have, but it's going to be random. So it basically becomes somewhat like gambling in a way. So you're basically spending money for these random drops and trying to hope that you get what you want. But if you don't, it's telling you to spend more money so you can get that drop. And then they keep putting more and more things behind these loot boxes that you can't actually get in game, or they're super duper hard to get in game. And sometimes you can't get them in game. You have to get them to the loot boxes. And that makes a lot of people say, all right, I'm just going to spend more and more money. So you spend $60, and now within like a few minutes, you potentially just spend $120.
Oof.
It's like, oh my God, how did that happen? But
that's just wild.
Special gun like that, right? Yeah.
To me, I mean, I don't know, because I just come from, I guess, a different generation than someone who's gonna, because I don't even spend money on like games on your app or whatever, like on your phone, or like I'm not gonna pay for a game on my phone. I'm not gonna, and I'm certainly not going to pay to progress on the game on my phone. Like whatever, I'll put it away and come back to it tomorrow. But like that's just it's just a huge, I mean, that's where they get so much of their money, and like it's just a different generation that grew up with that. That's the norm. You pay $1 here, you pay $1 there, or whatever it is, and that's how you continue progressing through the game or get better at the game. And for me, I just think that's utter bullshit, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
because I just, I get the end game of the creator. They want to get paid or whatever. But I get it more when it's a free game and you can pay a little more to progress faster. I don't get it when you're already paying $60 for the game and then they want you to pay more to get stuff that's not even included in the game. Like you got to pay for extra shit in the game. Like that's silly to me.
For me, it's like, because you already know I'm a giant gamer. Hell, before we even got on, I was freaking playing. I was actually replaying Dragon Age Inquisition because I haven't played it in a while, so I've been playing that lately. But anyway, for me, I don't mind DLC. Actually, I don't necessarily mind it. It's just if it makes sense, I'm cool with it. Because like if you play this game and it's long and you enjoyed the game and you want a little bit more and you don't want to wait 3 or 4 years for a new story, new story stuff to happen, I'm cool with stuff like that. But when it's stuff that's like especially for the mobile aspect, where it's like, oh, well, to progress into the actual story of the regular game, you're going to have to pay more money That's when I'm
Right.
like, that's stupid. That is dumb.
Yes.
I should be able to beat the base game without having to pay more money after paying
Right.
money for the game. I don't want to have to wait 6, 7, sometime even a year just to finish the game. Not because it was taking that long, because I had to wait for them to give different updates I had to pay for. Like, no. Like that right there is not that is dumb to me. Like I
So
can't.
what you said, I can kind of understand. So like what you said, where if you have a game that's complete, right, and it's like your favorite game or whatever, and then they say, well, for whatever X amount of money that we have a whole, not just a side quest because that would be
Yep.
silly, but
Whole
like
new
more of
story.
like, yeah, like a whole
Yep.
new thing to it, and
Mm-hmm.
that makes a little more sense, right? Instead of
Yep.
like you got to pay X amount of money to gamble on getting a certain gun that'll just
That is.
help you progress through levels faster. Like it's not even necessary. It's just it'll help you be a better player or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that part is dumb. But the part where you're saying, oh, you know what, this is my favorite game. They're not
Right.
going to make another one for a couple years. Oh, you know what? I
Right.
will spend $20 to play another 4 hours of
Yeah,
this game or something like that.
exactly. Yeah, getting some more extra content. I'm fine with that and love stuff like that. But that's the stuff I love. But again, like you were just saying, I can't stand stuff like Madden. Madden is one of Madden and FIFA, EA's biggest sells because
Oh
what they
gosh,
do is rely on their loot boxes. For Madden and for Madden and FIFA, the loot boxes basically give you better players when you're going online. So you randomly keep putting money to get this super powerful Ray Lewis from 2001. He's a 99 overall and can freaking just fart out sacks. So basically, they want you to do that,
Pause
and they
on the
keep
fart out
making you
sex.
spend all. Yeah, they keep making you spend all that money, and then it's like, all right, I just built this ultimate team. It only cost me like $500, and EA's like, good job building that ultimate team. Dumb. I mean, smart guy, you go get him, champ.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, nah, man, I can't get. I'm sorry, I can't pay for something like. I would never do that. I can't
Dude,
do that.
speaking of FIFA, like I have never shouted more at a game than FIFA. All right, maybe Mario Kart when you're on the last lap, but FIFA, oh my god, like there is some cheating ass bullshit involved with that game. I swear to God. I remember playing, I think I was like 20 or 21, so this is probably about 10 years ago. So whatever FIFA game was out then. And I'd play with my buddy and we'd always be on the same team and we would like try to fight that or be tournament or whatever it was, the season or whatever. But it was always we would always be pretty decent. Like we would set the computer hard enough
Yeah,
that it was fun. Like we weren't
right.
whooping on the computer or nothing, but it was always a good matchup skill wise until the last like 5 minutes of the game where all of a sudden the computer was a monster and like would do some redonkulous cheating shit
Yep.
and beat us. And we would just sit there and just be like, yo, this is seriously
this is bullshit.
the most bullshit game because it was always the same, man. Like, it was just like, damn, what the fuck happened? Like, we were winning this whole game and this computer came back in the last 5 minutes and beat us.
Yo,
So, like, that.
Out of nowhere, this computer just becomes like the ultimate dodge master. He's kicking the ball and everything, passing perfectly. Just both of y'all like, all right, I'm gonna stand on this side, you stand on this side. He somehow crosses both of y'all up just
That's
perfectly,
right.
and then just kicks it right in the goal. And it's like,
and our goalie just became retarded, like in the last 2 seconds.
Your guy just
jumping the wrong way completely. Yeah, no, it was.
Left, and he jumps right.
Oh my gosh, no, it was that FIFA, man. That's funny that you brought that up because that game definitely brings back some memories of us just drinking beers and yelling at the TV because we were just so angry.
Oh my God. Like when you say that, it makes me think of, for me, and especially fighting games, because like my main genre is fighting games and RPGs. Those are my main genre, and I play sport games every here and there. Yeah, I'm a giant sports fan, but the games have gotten so I don't really play them as much as I used to.
Okay.
But
why do you think they've gone What do you mean by that?
Man, it's just like for Madden, for example, they don't never really change anything really. It's basically the same game except for a roster update.
Okay.
And it's like I'm spending $60 every year for basically the same game.
Right.
where little tweaks are here and there, but a lot of times it gets worse, where the gameplay gets even worse, and it's just like, this ain't worth it. Like, this is just boring. And then 2K is the same game. 2K has been the same. It was amazing when they finally got 2K really pumping and rocking around the 2011s and stuff like that. But it's been the same damn game every single year. So I just don't even play 2K anymore. I think the last 2K game I played was 2017, and that was fun. I think it was 2017. It was either 2017 or 2016, and I haven't played a 2K game since. Like, it just got so boring. I was like, this is the same shit. I'm done.
Right.
I can't play.
Yeah.
But anyway, fighting game wise,
yes.
it was SNK versus Capcom 2, and you have like Ultimate Regal or Shinakuma at the end, depending on what you've done leading up to that, and you might fight one of the other. And oh my god, when I first fought those guys, it was Shinakuma. I was so pissed off fighting that dude, because it was like my man was reading my input. Every time I would go for something, this dude is shoryuking me. This dude's a Dugan me. Fucking doing everything to counteract me. I jump in the air. This dude is like already in there waiting for me. I'm like, dude, what the hell?
What's up, Doyle?
Like,
yeah. Honestly, with some of those fighting games, I wonder if they don't read some of your input and like kind of cheat in that way, because sometimes it's like, really, like, you predicted every single thing I was about to do and then countered it perfectly. Like, come on, man.
Some of the bosses in these fighting games at the end are some of the most frustrating things ever. And I'm definitely talking about when you play it on the hardest mode too. Even when you play it on normal, it can be annoying as hell with some of these cheap bosses. But when you play it on the hardest mode and you go against a cheap boss, prepare to just scream and just fuck this whole world. Like, I'm just sitting there screaming, cursing. But when you finally beat that motherfucker,
right,
you feel so good.
You and just blow a load right in your pants.
Yeah. They're just like, damn, this took me like 12 hours to do this. I think
yeah. You reevaluate your whole life and all the decisions leading up to
it. You fight a game boss that makes you just completely reevaluate your entire life, and you're just like, how did I get here? Huh.
Oh man. Just like all the decisions since age 12 that led to this this night. Like, god damn it.
You think of like everything that could have went wrong that somehow even led to this moment. You're like sitting there thinking of a date that you went on, just like, if only I would have did that different, I might not be fighting him right now. I would know how to beat him. Like, some random shit just pops in your head because of how crazy this shit is. Oh my god,
man.
Dude, I love
That's
it.
Funny. What's your favorite game of all time? Like, all time, your favorite game?
Wow. I don't know, man. That's kind of tough.
Stumped you. I threw that one out of nowhere too.
You did, man. Like, oh my God, damn, bro, what the fuck?
I know, right? So, okay, we can break it down into genres. Then, what's your favorite like fighting game? Because I know you said you like fighting game. So, what's your favorite fighting game?
Favorite fighting game? I gotta pick one. Pick one. So I guess I would have to say. Oh, that's tough too. You keep hitting these tough ass questions.
Still too tough. All right, what about your favorite? Because you said your other one was RPG. So your favorite RPG game?
That doesn't make it easier.
No, and it doesn't. You got to answer one of the questions, Chris.
I understand that, James. I understand that. Stop trying to embarrass me in front of my kids, James. My kids. My kids, James. Oh.
In front of my kids. By the way, neither of us have kids, but that's like our favorite joke to make.
Yeah. I don't have kids at all. That is my favorite joke of all time. It's gonna be weird. Like, one day I'm gonna say that joke. It's gonna randomly have kids. Like,
and then you actually have kids in front of my kids. Oh, but it really was in front of my kids.
It really was in front of my kids. Like, damn it, James. Shit, man. Oh my god, that's tough, dude. I will have to say, all right, if I go, I have to say what gave me the most fun of all time, and it would probably have to be. It might end up being. I'll probably have to say Pokemon gold and silver, probably specifically gold.
Oh, okay.
RPG wise, in that aspect, I guess if I'm gonna use it like that,
I
I'll
didn't
probably have to
expect
say
that.
that.
I did not expect it.
Yeah, because of how much fun that gave me as a kid, I would have to
Yeah.
probably give
Okay.
that an edge because of all that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Pokemon was definitely like up in my top. I'm telling you, like we discussed it earlier, I think it was like ahead of its time from when it came out. And as far as like being like just captivating wise, like I would play it for freaking ever at a time. You
yeah,
know, it was hours and hours and not get bored. So Pokemon definitely up there for
because
me. What's
go
that?
on. What about you? Do you have any?
As far as like a favorite all-time game would have to be Ocarina of Time. Just again because
Mm,
of when I was a kid and like just ahead of its
okay.
time and it was really the first like 3D world story that I did. And even to this day, like if I were to find it on N64, I would just sit down and play it or whatever. But I'm really hoping those rumors are true that they're remastering it and it's going to come out on the Switch because I will be buying it day one to play again because I mean that was just like my all time favorite. Just to finally like get through and beat at the end, I was just like, yes, at last. Like like this is before like you would stay up all night or whatever and beat a game in a day or two. This was like this took
Right,
me like a year to beat this goddamn game because it took me so
right.
long to get through some of the levels or figure out where I was supposed to go.
Yep.
So I mean, it was just that was just. I really do hope that they're gonna remake it because that would be so awesome.
That would definitely give you something to look forward to, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure.
Yeah,
Wow.
man.
Damn, that question is really tough though, because I'm still thinking RPG, like outside of like fighting games specifically. Like, what would I say? Because again, I love SNK versus Capcom 2.
Mm-hmm.
I love Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
Tekken 6 was so important. Like, I love Tekken 6. And the
Ooh,
Tekken 7
okay.
is fun too, but I really love Tekken 6. But then being a little younger, Tekken 3 was huge too for me.
Okay.
As a kid, because that was just that game blew me away. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is so amazing. It has this many characters and it looks this way. Like, that blew me away.
Was it just like a big jump in quality of like
It just
of
seemed like such
graphics?
a big jump, and it looked better than Tekken 2. And
Okay.
it just had more people. And then like their ending cutscenes looked cooler, and it was just like, this is something right here. Again, it had more people, and it was such a fun game. And then
Gotcha.
obviously it was a huge jump from Tekken 3 to Tekken 4 graphic wise. That's when they really started really boosting up graphics and stuff. And then Tekken 5 and 6 and all that good stuff.
Gotcha.
And you know what we got in Tekken 7 now, where we got Akuma showing up from Street Fighter and we're fighting in volcanoes. And that's the thing about Tekken, man. Like, Hihachi and Jin and Kazuya, especially Hihachi and Kazuya, they always finish their situations by trying to throw the other one off into a volcano.
Bro, how
It's
flawless is that plan though? Like, I mean, you settle your beef in the street, or you're gonna throw a motherfucker in a volcano. I mean, you just gotta.
I mean, let's look at that. Before the events of Tekken 1,
Uh-huh.
Hihachi threw his child, which was Kazuya, who was like at most 10. He threw him into a volcano because he thought this dude might have the devil gene because he had to kill his wife. His wife had the devil gene. She transformed on him, tried to think she could fuck with him. Hihachi's fucking killed her, snapped her neck
Right.
too. And then he was like, you might have it. So he just coldly just threw his fucking son in the volcano.
Hey,
Kazuya
man.
got older, came back, threw Hihachi in the volcano at the end of Tekken 1. And
Think
then
about look. Think about it. Like if you lived in Hawaii or something, you know what I mean. Like getting rid of a body, that's a lot easier. You just throw it in a volcano, man. You just you got to drag it up there. That'll probably be the hard part.
I
Throw it in
mean,
your
at the
Jeep.
end of Tekken 7, Hihachi is apparently dead, and Kazuya was like, for old top's sakes, father, and threw his ass into a volcano.
Oh my god.
So, I mean, it should get rid of the body, right?
Yeah, so if if you live in Hawaii or New Zealand or wherever there might be some volcanic activity, uh gosh, it's got to be easy to get rid of a body, man. You just yeah, I feel like Breaking Bad, they're coming up with like putting bodies in acid barrels and shit. And like, really, you could just wheel them up in a into a volcano, just like in a wheelbarrow. Just fucking
okay, I was
tip
gonna
him
say,
over.
how do you get him to the volcano though?
Yeah, I don't know. You throw him in an off-terrain truck. You get him up there with a wheelbarrow, right? And then you put him in the wheelbarrow and bring him to the edge and tip the wheelbarrow.
Doesn't that seem very dangerous on your part too?
Look,
What if
man,
something goes wrong?
what's more dangerous, getting caught with a dead body, or possibly falling into a volcano?
Possibly falling into a volcano. The fact that that's a possibility. What if that shit decides to erupt?
Well, then you should. Well, first of all, you gotta respond quickly. You put that body, just drop the body, get back in the car, and fucking drive, because the volcano's gonna take care of the body.
Okay.
But you know, as long as it's not Vesuvius or something, you know, you should be all right. Mount St. Helen, you know, you dead instantly. But you know, if it's just like one of those creeper volcanoes where it just kind of creeps out and then comes slowly down, then you should be all right. You get in your off-terrain vehicle and gun it, and you'll be all right, man. You'll be fine.
All right, cool. So we gotta give it some bodies.
I don't gotta outrun the volcano. I just gotta outrun the dead body.
No, I think you actually have to outrun the volcano. This ain't one of those situations where the body is the sacrifice, because the lava is slowing that shit down. So, I don't think that works this time, bro. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we're at an hour and a half. This has been an amazing episode talking about video games and such. We will figure out another great topic for you guys next week on Monday. And I'm going to have some videos out on YouTube this week as well that I already for sure know are coming out. So that's awesome. I've got a claim sale going on Instagram if any of you guys are interested in buying some books. So hit me up on Instagram, same label at Comics for Cheap. And Chris, we will be back on Monday.
Yep, I'm working on some videos here too, and we will definitely be back on Monday for sure. Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, stay villainous and
fuck the fantastic